everyone. Welcome to day 5. I can't believe it's our last day already. This week has gone so quickly. And I hope you can hear me well, you can see me well. It's just been for me an amazing experience. I've been wanting to do this challenge for a long time, like I said before. And as I anticipated, it's been a beautiful challenge. Self love is such an important practice that we need to remind ourselves over and over again. And I'm so happy that we covered so many things this week and so many tools that we can utilize to connect to ourselves, to really love ourselves, to practice to love ourselves more each day. Um, I hope you guys can hear me and everything is working well, that you can see me. Sorry that I keep saying that, but as I said before, I'm not really the most techie savvy person. And this live actually has been one of my best because I actually can see the comments and I feel that I have done things a little better this time. So if you could just give me a thumbs up that you can see me, that would be awesome. And that you can hear me most importantly. So I can start with our today. We're going to be talking about an empowerment tool, which is an amazing tool that I have learned and I have utilized, and I still do it um, over and over again when I need it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Abby. And it's something that anybody can use, and it's something that actually people that we put on pedestals and people that are successful, people that are running their own businesses, athletes, they use that too. And I got this tool when I read a book called The Author Eagle. It's a coach in the US. This is the book. I can put the name on afterwards for you guys. It's a coach called Todd Herman. So he coaches lots of athletes, lots of entrepreneurs, lots of executives that have really powerful jobs, and that they need to really show up, in their career. The athletes obviously, playing games or practicing sports, and the people working in corporate, they need to make presentations and to show up big time for their teams and clients and etc. And what this is about is that you create an alter ego for a particular part of your life that you need to embody qualities of this alter ego that you have created, so you can become the best version of yourself there and then. So, think about, an athlete that is about, when they are in the court, they need to be, like more aggressive. They need to be um, more out there. They need to play more with their team. They need to save everyone, and that could be a combination. It could be somebody that they admire, like they can embody like Michael Jordan's personality, or they could make their own alter ego up. So it's not something that you use it the whole day, but it's something that you call upon after you created this alter ego when you need it at that particular time. And it could be things like, Todd Herman talks about, I created an alter ego so I could go home and become a better parent. So, before I open the door, I embody that alter ego so I can be a different person with my kids. So look, it is obviously, it's a whole book, it's a whole method, it's a whole, but I'm here to talk about a tool that he talks about, which is something that he needed to to work fast. Like when the athletes called him, you used to call him and say, "Look, I am 30 minutes about to play a game, and I'm freaking out, and all my mind is going, and I don't know, I can't feel, empowerment enough to doing this." So he needed like kind of a different tactic, that would work immediately. And he talks about um, a this tool, and he names it as the Response Proclamation. And and it's funny, like when he talks about that, and obviously it made me think. We think that we are the only ones who would never think that. For example, somebody like Michael Jordan. I don't know if he, I'm just talking about names that I know, or anybody that is working in an executive in corporate, or that we all think that these people don't have any fear, right? We all think that they have 100% confidence all the time, that they don't suffer from all the stuff that we suffer, the doubt, the fear, the anxiety, the feeling of not being good enough, all of those things that are constantly playing in our minds. We think that we are the only ones that have that. And sometimes, even people, when you look on social media, our friends, or people that we know, we look at them and think like, gosh, how can they show up like this every day? We think that these people don't do any work, that they are just born like that. They don't have to use any tools, that they're just like that. And it was really interesting to listen, that he, to read this book, and um, to really understand that, oh, these people also suffer from the same things as we suffer. That they are also having to really call upon on tools so they can empower themselves when they need. That they need to be constantly working on their mental state, on their emotional health, like, so they can show up, be the best version of themselves when they need to be. And yes, they need to be that sometimes more often, because they need to do that every day. But they're constantly working at it. And we all think that they don't have that, and I just want to really highlight again, that inner voice, after we talked about acknowledging that inner voice and embracing, and not resist that inner voice, and befriend that inner voice. Because when we do that, we start understanding a little bit more where that inner voice comes from, and how, what are the tactics that inner voice is using, to get to us. And what are the things that this inner voice is saying? Why is this inner voice saying that? The more we understand, the more tools we get together, inside ourselves, to be able to respond to that inner voice. When that inner voice comes, in moments that we need to show up, we need to be doing, like the best version of yourself. We need to show up as the best version of ourselves. Um, and when that inner voice, is coming up, and then we know that inner voice, this is when it's really, really important to have this response proclamation. And that this is it's something that I would love you, like yesterday, to know, when we finish this call, that you get a pen and paper. I'm going to give you an example so you can write your own response proclamation. Only you, obviously can do that. Only what are the things that you have, done in life, that you had to overcome in life. The person who you are today, we all have done and have achieved some amazing things, and that little voice inside us is out there sometimes to get to us, and it's important for us to prepare ourselves. People that are like athletes and executives, and they're successful, they are there because they do one thing: they prepare and they plan, before that moment arrives. And this is what we're doing today. We have done the work of, loving our bodies and connecting to our bodies, loving ourselves, acknowledging, that we do have an inner voice indeed, like embracing that inner voice. But now is the time to create a tool that when that inner voice shows up, and when you need to present the best version of yourself, that you do have an answer to that inner voice, and you can say to that inner voice, this is who I am. And this will be coming from a place, there is no fear, a place of courage, a place of empowerment, there is no doubt. because you're going to plan yourself and you're going to prepare yourself for that moment. So instead of when you get there and that inner voice creeps in and you're like, oh, now I'm full of fear and I'm full of doubt and I don't know if I can do this, you have already prepared yourself. So that mental rehearsal is really, really, really important. And this is why, for me, I would love you to finish this call and get a pen and paper and write your um, own response proclamation. And today, I mean, on the book, he gives an example of an athlete, and I'm not going to read that to you because that's not going to come from my heart, and I would have to read it because obviously he works with athletes all the time, so he knows, what they have gone through to become that, Olympic athlete or to become that champion, and what to do. So for him, it's just very easy to come out with that. So what I decided to do is to write I did write my own response proclamation, and I want to share this with you today. And I want you to be thinking, this is not about me, this is not about my response proclamation. I'm giving you an example here so you can write your own. Um, so it's important that we use this tool when I want to feeling lost and depressed and fearful and sad that we don't know. And that this could be that you were just in a day that you don't feel very well about yourself, in that you're feeling down because you feel that you haven't accomplished what you wanted to accomplish, and you haven't done what you wanted to do. And this is, and when you see that that voice is getting louder and louder inside you, this is what you have written down, that you can read that yourself, and then you can feel empowered and get back to who you really are. So really, I would love you, like I said, after this call, straight after this call, after that, I share my example, that you write your own and you have this somewhere where you can easily pick up and you can use this as your tool. So when I wrote, my response proclamation, that's quite a while ago now, I couldn't believe how much love, respect, and compassion, I created in my body and in my mind and in my soul for myself. It was a really empowerment tool, and I can get back to that moment and when I wrote that response proclamation for me. It was a beautiful exercise, and I feel that you will feel the same, because we all have got so much to say about ourselves. We just need to give ourselves the opportunity, and we need to think that that little voice, they just want to stop us from taking action, on what we want to do in our lives, on chasing our dreams, on caring for our body and mind and our souls. And we need to prepare ourselves to respond to that inner voice. Because when you do, that little voice will have no chance anymore. That little voice will have less power over you. That little voice is not going to be in control anymore. A little bit like a little kid, you know, that little voice is being bullying you, and this time for that little kid to get up and really respond back to that bully. So here we go, guys. This is an example. This is not to brag about myself, but I felt that if I shared my response proclamation, you could relate to it a bit more than, like an athlete, that it will be difficult for us to relate to. So when that little voice tells you, who do you think you are? So for me, the response was, I'm the person who left my birth country to become who I wanted to be without nobody to fall back on at 20 years old, 21 years old. Who am I? I am the person who lived and worked in 5 countries, building a new life each time, with friends that loved and respect me. Friends that sent me cards, letters, and texts from all over the world when I got sick. Who am I? I am the person who took 100% responsibility when I got stage 3 bowel cancer. I am the person who promised myself that I was going to create a new body, mind, and soul after cancer, and I did. Who am I? I am the person who changed her diet during cancer treatment while I was feeling sick as a dog. I am the person who stopped eating sugar, dairy, and meat, and anything that can in packages, and focus 100% on my body, mind and soul, each day for 7.5 months during chemotherapy. Who am I? I am the person who dragged myself for a walk, to practice yoga, to ride my bike, to exercise each day, even when I felt I couldn't because my body was so weak. Who am I? I am the person who finished 12 sessions of chemotherapy feeling stronger physically and mentally than I started. Who am I? I am the person who chose forgiveness over anger. I forgave my parents, my brother, my grandparents, my uncles, my aunties, and my story. I am the person who chose to live consciously. I am the person who left my corporate job and threw myself all in to support people to never get where I have been. So, guys, this is my response proclamation. As I say this again out loud, it just fills me with so much love and compassion and safety and freedom and make me feel so secure of who I am, sure of myself. And I want you to think that this is not about me, this is not to brag. You have also done some amazing things. It's difficult for us to acknowledge, but this is the time that I want you to sit down. I want you to get a pen and paper and I want you to write. And I want you to really let yourself write from your heart as you're standing up for a bully person that is not being very nice to you, a person that doesn't have your best interest. When yesterday when I talked about, acknowledging and embracing the inner voice, this is we're getting to know that inner voice, but this time is we really responding to that inner voice when that inner voice gets really loud in our heads. And guys, don't forget, we all have that. This is a tool, like in this book, he talks about it. Do you think if this is all crazy stuff that, you're thinking that you're going to become a Batman is going to make any difference? This guy coaches like athletes, executives, people that are we put in pedestals and they are using those tools. So why can't we use those tools? We can use that too. This is powerful, trust the process and do the work. So when you do feel like that, you pick up the paper and you read to yourself and you feel empowered again and you feel that, it's safe to be yourself. That nobody's going to tell you what you can and can't do. Nobody's going to tell you what life you should and shouldn't live. Nobody's going to tell you, oh, don't chase out that dream. Nobody's going to tell you, oh, don't worry about, you're always, not going to be that person, who eats healthily, who exercise, who accomplishes things. Nobody's going to tell you that because you're empowering yourself. You were planning, you were preparing, you were practicing. So, guys, we all need to listen to this response often rather than our inner voice. Don't wait for that inner voice to go away by itself. That inner voice is always going to be there. We have talked about that. That inner voice, everybody's got that. We need to make a decision here and now. Do we want this inner voice to control our lives? Do we want this inner voice to stop us from living the life we want? Don't let that inner voice stop and tell you nasty things, to put you down. Take control of your life right here, right now. Take control of your destiny. Start creating a life, a new body, a new mind, a new soul you want to live in. If I've done it, you can do it too. Start loving yourself more than anything and anyone because you matter. Stop depending on other people to love you. Love yourself each day. Practice the things that we have done this week. When we don't love ourselves is we're trying to build a house from the roof without any foundation. We need to be our own foundation. I lived through this, guys. The biggest transformation I had during cancer treatment was I stopped wanting to live for my kids. I wanted to live for me, for the things that I wanted to do, for the things that I wanted to accomplish. That was the most beautiful thing that I have ever been through in my life. When people tell me like, oh, cancer treatment was pretty terrible and shit, and I said, no. It was the best time of my life because I did the work each single day. And I accepted 100% responsibility of what it did go wrong, and I wanted to make it right. So, guys, today is super important. I want you to finish this call, get a pen and paper, and write your own response proclamation. Don't think about anyone. I want you to think about you. What have you done? What have you accomplished? What your a person who loves you would say about you. Truly, this is the answer is inside us. Connect to the answer. Don't be scared to say it out loud. Accept and embrace what you have done that is good, that is beautiful, that it's bigger and better than anybody else. We all have our unique goodness and things that we have done in our lives. And I want you to put this on the paper so when you need, when you're having a day that you were down, or when you need it, when you were about to go and do something, when that inner voice gets loud for whatever reason that you have already prepared, and you can pick your paper up and you can read yourself and you can get out of that place and you can become, come back to yourself and ground yourself and feel sure of yourself again and feel connected to yourself and love yourself again. So, guys, this is, as I said, it is a really powerful tool, and I would love you to utilize this as part of your practice, your self love practice. And I really have relied on this on moments in my life since I have read through this book and I have written this response proclamation. And even sometimes I have thought about it. I didn't even have the paper next to me, but I thought about it and I was like, wow, I have done all of that. I have accomplished all of that. And all of a sudden, I got out of that place of doubt and fear and I came back to myself again. So, guys, this is our final day. I have enjoyed so much this challenge, and it's hard for me not to say, but this has been my favorite challenge so far. This is my third challenge, and I think self-love has been such an important part of my healing process, and such an important part of me finding myself again. And this is why I feel so connected to this theme